Saturday, August 25th, 1962, the Marvin Griffin campaign comes to Newnan. In the shadow of the historic Coweta County Courthouse, thousands of Marvin Griffin supporters, young and old, come together for the 8th great rally in the Griffin campaign for a return to the governorship. With the election only a little more than 2 weeks away, Marvin Griffin is heartened by a tremendous surge of popular support, especially among young Georgians. And also among women voters, business and professional men, and public officials. Among those participating in the rally are Judge Emeritus E.E. Shorty Andrews of Fulton Superior Court, Clifford Cranford, Solicitor of Newnan City Court, and Walter D. Sanders, Attorney at Law and Chairman of the 4th District Democratic Executive Committee.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished guests, fellow Georgians, I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for that kind introduction. I was born in Coweta County. I was reared in Coweta County. I was educated in Coweta County. Everything that I possess is in Georgia. Even my debts are in Georgia. My children were born, reared, and educated in this county. My grandchildren were born in this county and will be educated in this county, and I hope that they will live in this section of Georgia among the finest people in the world. I want for me and mine, as you do for you and yours, the best Georgia that can be had. I want good churches, good schools, fine institutions, more and bigger industries, so that my people can enjoy the full life. I detest greed and selfishness, unfair tactics, foul play, low blows, half-truths, guilt by association, innuendos, character assassination. All these make me sick. I admire courage and humility. To me, loyalty is one of the greatest virtues a man can have. I seek progress in all fields: education, industry, and government. I want as my governor a man who has these last qualities. I want an humble, courageous, and loyal man. I want a man who understands the needs of those who need most. I want a man who can talk the language of those with the least education, resolving at all times that their children will have better opportunities. I want a man who knows the sting of persecution so that he will realize the necessity of preventing persecution of others. I want a man who has felt the lash of the whip of unfair propaganda and reporting so that he will take steps to see that it won't happen to you and me. I want a man who is down to earth and knows the pangs of sorrow and hardship so that he will understand our problems. I want a man who has the courage to stand up and fight for what he thinks is right, and I want one who will fight in the face of all odds. Give me a man who appreciates the services of those who toil in the field of education, be they lunchroom workers, school bus drivers, elementary teachers, or college professors, and one who knows the value of adequate facilities. Give me a man who knows that in this era, a 70-year-old person can't eat, rent, stay warm, and buy medicine for $40 per month, and further give me one who cares. Give me a man who knows the value of new industry and jobs for our people, and who has shown that he can do something about it. Give me a man who knows that a good rural road is just as valuable to our economy as a good city street, and that both are equally important. Give me a man who has a compassionate heart for those who are so unfortunate as to have retarded children, and builds hospitals for them, and says that any retarded child in Georgia can be hospitalized and cared for properly. In 1956, as a delegate to the Democratic National Convention at Chicago, when the South was nearly driven from the party, with my own eyes I saw, and with my own ears I heard Marvin Griffin rise to his feet, proceed to the rostrum, and defend Georgia and the South, while thousands, as co-chairman of the program that arranged the great Kennedy rally at Warm Springs during the presidential election, I saw with my own eyes, and I heard with my own ears Marvin Griffin tell the to-be president of the United States that he was sorry that he couldn't stay for the program because he felt that he couldn't. He had to attend the funeral of a friend, the mayor of Sonoy. My friends, that's loyalty. Is there any doubt in your mind that Marvin Griffin has courage? How many of you would be willing to stand day after day taking the abuse heaped upon him by the daily press? He has to be right, or he couldn't do it. He is right, my friend. It's impossible for him to get a fair presentation of his candidacy through the daily newspapers. Their cartoonists are working overtime trying to defeat him. Their editorial staff spares no venom in the effort to distort your thinking. But through it all, he grows bigger and bigger and more formidable. They are not defeating Marvin Griffin. They are not defeating Marvin Griffin. They are so consumed with poisonous hate that they are destroying themselves. And if you don't believe it, you look at the result of the bond election in Atlanta. The people of Georgia are fed up with these tactics. They resent it. These funny pictures, vicious editorials, slanted reportings do not meet with the average Georgian standard of fair play. If it were possible to attach the big heart of Marvin Griffin to the arteries of his main opponent, it would bust his opponent as wide open as one of Piano Red's Maypop tires. If that big heart, with its continuing pounding of courage, loyalty, honesty, decency, and friendship, could be tied to the combined circulatory systems of all these hate dispensers, they'd pop like a nickel watermelon. The people of Georgia can't be discounted, and they can't be fooled. Anyone who attempts to do so is a fool himself. Georgia needs a man with a positive plan. Georgia needs a man of action. Georgia needs a man who will do something for its people. Georgia needs a man who will represent all of its people, not special blocks and special interests. Georgia needs a man who won't knuckle under. If ever Georgia needed experience, ability, and courage, we need it now. Let's stand up with this man who stands up for us. Let's select this great man who's done so much for Georgia. I present to you Georgia's next governor, Honorable Marvin Griffin.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished city, county, state officials, other distinguished platform guests, ladies and gentlemen, and my fellow Georgians of the radio audience. First, I want to thank the fine merchants of the city of Newnan for permitting us to block off this street on a busy trading day. Let's give them a hand. And I would like to thank Mrs. Gunby for giving Miss Lib that bale of cotton. We appreciate it. I also want to thank my good friend, the Honorable E.E. Shorty Andrews, Judge Emeritus of the Fulton Superior Circuit, for his complimentary remarks made about me to this large crowd. And then I want to thank my good friend and your distinguished member of the bar and this great citizen of Coweta County, the Honorable Walter Sanders, for both the warmth and the generosity of his introduction of me on this occasion. He is the finest Sanders I know. Now, my fellow Georgians, I'm going to take just a half a minute to present someone to you. This person has already been presented, but I'm going to present her again because I know I owe it to her. I feel that I should. During all of this period of attempted character assassination, and when the Atlanta newspapers and my opposition have vilified and abused me and have thrown the mud by the shovelful, she has been right there by my side. I want to present, of course, Lib Griffin, and she's a good soldier. Now, my friends, something most unusual happened the other day, and I've got a money sack from a bank in my hand. Guess who? Well, anyway, I tell you where you reckon it came from. You would never guess. Now, my friends, I'll tell you where it came from, and these fine Georgians said I could tell about it. They gave me permission to say this. There's a contribution for my campaign in this sack. It came from 106 employees of the Atlanta Journal and Constitution in Atlanta, Georgia. It came off the 4th floor of the Journal and Constitution building from the mechanical employees of that paper within 30 steps of the office of Ralph McGill. I want to thank this. I want to call this to your attention. Why is it, my fellow Georgians, why is it that the chairman of the State Highway Board and his 2 members, who are on the state payroll with a full-time job, why is it that they can politic with your money for my opponent and it seems to be all right with the Atlanta newspaper? Why is that? Now, then why is it that when my opponent opened his campaign in Statesboro, Georgia, two members of the Board of Regents were on the platform with him, and the Atlanta newspapers complimented them on their presence there. And then, when they find out that 13 out of the 15 are for old Marvin Griffin, then they say that's wrong. They oughtn't to be politics. Well, yeah, the trouble is, now you see the members of the Board of Regents only draw $7 a meeting day, and they meet once a month, see? They are not on a full-time payroll. They just make $7 a day. Wonder what those fellas do with all that money. But the point is, it's rather ridiculous. They say, oh, you have put the Board of Regents and our educational institutions in politics. Well, the trouble is, we've got some outstanding men on the Board of Regents, and they're my friends. They're your friends. They're the friends of the children of Georgia. They know who worked in close cooperation with them to try to improve the educational institutions of our state so that our young people would have adequate working tools to enable them to furnish the leadership that Georgia needs so badly. You know, this is a new era. This is a new age, my fellow Georgians. This is the space age. This is the age of the rocket. This is the age of the atom. This is the age of nuclear science. It's the age of the Condors and the Glenns and the other astronauts. Now, Georgia missed out during the automobile age to begin with. Our economy was not helped too much. Georgia missed out in the airplane age to begin with. Why? Because we had no trained people. Now, we can't afford to let Georgia miss out in the space age. Never before in Georgia's history have the educators and the educational establishment been so grievously under attack. And never before in Georgia history have the people of Georgia been so completely threatened with a complete loss of control over their state government. You are threatened, my fellow Georgians, with a deliberate effort to divide the majority of Georgia voters so that a 15% block of the electorate can cast the deciding weight of ballots into the scale and then exact from greedy, ambitious, self-seeking men the tribute and whatever tribute they may demand. I know that without doubt I will carry nearly all the counties of Georgia. My friends, I included Coweta in that number. I included the smallest county in Georgia and some of the largest. But I'm concerned about one thing. In the past, in many instances, the people of a county have divided themselves somewhat in a governor's race along their normal local factional lines. These local factions are not bad. They are good. They keep watch on each other, and by and large, they keep city and county government in Georgia in pretty good shape. In other words, there are two factions in just about every county in Georgia. And they debate the issues, they argue them, they thrash them out, and they clear the air, and they settle these problems locally. And that is good. Now, that won't do in this race because it's an attempt to divide all the white voters of Georgia and then take less than 15% of the vote cast. Take this minority group after you've got the white people of Georgia divided and throw that 15% Negro NAACP block vote on the scales and tip it down in favor of the opposition. We have got to be vigilant. Now, my friends, let me say this. I think the colored people in Georgia and the white citizens of Georgia know that I am going to be fair to all the people of our great state. But I am not going to sit down and I'm not going to tolerate this malicious scheme that these people have cooked up to try to euchre the control of our state into their own hands. I want to be crystal clear on these statements that I'm going to make to you and over this radio and television hookup. The Negro block vote elected Ivan Allen, mayor of Atlanta, and Ed Wilson, mayor of Macon. Now, do you want a governor of Georgia who is elected by the NAACP block vote and who must make his decisions conform to the wishes of this group? None of us do. Now, this is going on in Atlanta today. Now, my fellow Georgians, I am determined to see that all Georgians have their rights. I am determined that the laws of Georgia shall be obeyed. If this is not done, then nobody's rights will be secure. But I am not willing to see the political, economic, and social control of Georgia turned over to a minority group which represents less than 15% of the vote cast. I will not let my decisions be dominated by a minority group. Carl Sanders will have to do so because he is obligated to these people for their votes and their support. The oldest trick in the NAACP bag is to divide the white people and then conquer with the Negro NAACP block vote. Now, these malicious attacks made upon me or against me by the Atlanta newspapers and the Atlanta political machine on my honesty and integrity are only smoke screens to hide the evil designs of this crowd to ram unlimited race mixing down the throats of the people of Georgia, just as they have done in Atlanta and are continuing to do. Now, some of my political enemies are trying to minimize the dangers which will result from minority control by spreading the pernicious propaganda that I can't do any more about this situation than my principal opponent can. In other words, our political enemies approach Georgians with this question. Say, what can Marvin do about this thing that Carl can't do? Well, now I'm going to tell you. First, I will try and Carl will not. And secondly, I will fight and Carl will run. There, my friends, is the difference. Now, in conclusion, and my time is running out, got just a few minutes more, but I'm going to tell you as briefly as possible what this crowd is trying to do. They are trying to deceive the white folks of Georgia by putting this candidate out there with all the money that he can use behind him, all the newspaper propaganda that they can put behind him. Why, my fellow Georgians, that crowd's spending money like it's going out of style. I have never seen it before in a Georgia political campaign. I plead with you most sincerely here in Coweta County and in every one of Georgia's 159 counties to go to the polls on election day and protect yourselves, your institutions, and your future. Get your neighbors to go along with you. I say to you honestly, sincerely, my friends and fellow Georgians, if we let them buy, take, deceive, or steal this election from us, it will never get another chance. We'll never get another chance. Now, we must, to protect our institutions, we must, to protect our customs and our traditions and our ways of life in Georgia, we must be vigilant every minute of the day of the little more than 2 weeks that remains from now till election day. Now, my fellow Georgians, we have always operated under the county unit system, and I still hear it, but here's the danger. I go into a county and they say, well, Governor, such and such a county's going for you. Well, I appreciate that, but you know that won't win this election. We don't have the county unit system now. The federal courts destroyed it. But let's do this. The county goes for me, but let's be sure we get every vote to the ballot box on our side that we can get. Now, my fellow Georgians, all of you who will go with me, who will work day and night with me, will help me with your time, will help me with your services, will help me as much as you can financially from now till the ballot boxes close on the night of September the 12th. All those who believe like I do to stand up for our state and what she stands for, hold up your hands.
And so Marvin Griffin goes into the home stretch in his historic campaign for a return to the governorship. Next Saturday, the campaign will be carried to Douglas in South Georgia, and another great rally with thousands of Griffin supporters will be on hand. Every Georgian is invited to attend. Every Georgian is invited to take his stand with Marvin Griffin. So come to Douglas next Saturday and take your stand with Marvin Griffin.